Yeah, welcome back to the channel, and this is by no means a review. It's not even a how-to, it's just showing you what I'm doing at the moment, as I'm going to try and install this, which we're going to have a quick unboxing of. Pickle away. I have to bring the dog in because she can't be trusted by herself. Right. Okay. I did think actually that would be a box with all the writing on, but it's not. So straight in to what it is. This is a Renogy 2000 watt inverter. So out of the box, got some stickers, got a warranty card, an instruction manual which I will read before I go too much further. The mains cable, and the beast itself. The inverter. Let's see what else we got in the box first. So it comes, one of the reasons I wanted this one, it comes with this remote control, so rather than having to go to the inverter to switch it on and off, we just going to be switching it. Whether I install that fully at the moment, I'm probably not going to. We'll see how it goes first. And then 2 sets of cables, but I have bought my own cables as well, some slightly bigger ones. So let's go into the box. So here we are. It's the Renogy 2000 watt pure sine wave inverter, and on the back we've got the terminals and covers for coming from the battery. Ooh, shouldn't have taken that off. We've got fans, and oh, it's on the front. I was looking for this. Obviously our mains output and an input as well. So if I have this coming from the electric hookup into there, it will instantly switch the inverter off and put mains power to the plug. Pickle, you'll have to wait for a minute, and then on and off switch, one way just to switch it on, the other one I believe switches over to the remote, and that's the remote input there. So that's what we've got. 4 raised feet. Let's just get that before Pickle eats it. Now on Facebook, I put something saying, you know, what do people think of these, if they got them, etc., and quite a few people have got these. It seems to be a good one to go for. And then some people are going, oh, why don't you have a power bank and things. We've got power banks and putting their pictures of power banks up. I don't want a power bank. Well, I wasn't asking about a power bank because we've got one. We've got a 500 watt power bank, and that has been very useful for when we've been off grid. And what I like about the power bank is when we're out in our deck chairs on a site, I can actually take it away from the van. Right. Now what I like about the power bank is when we're on site, we've got our deck chairs and our tables out, I can actually take the power bank away from the van, plug my laptop in and do some charging and that sort of stuff. It's a 500 watt power bank, Possibly I should have gone larger in the first instance, but it still does the job. We can boil a kettle off it. We've got a 500 watt kettle and that does fine. The reason I wanted the inverter is I've now got a lithium battery, and I don't think I'm really making good use of that battery. It's a brilliant battery. We're hardly touching it at the moment, even when we're going off grid. Now we'll be going off grid for 5 or 6 days in a few weeks time when we go on a rally with the band, and we do go off grid about 5 or 6 times a year, where I think this would be of use, because we want to use the air fryer and the kettle and charge things without having to worry that the jackery, I'm having to move around the van out of the way all the time, and it is a bit of a weighty thing. I did have an instance where I hadn't put it properly out of the way. I put the brakes on and it came tumbling down towards the dogs. Didn't hit them, luckily, but it is in the way. So we've got the lithium battery, going to make some use of it. That's my reasoning. So it wasn't a debate about should I have an inverter or a power bank. It was what was the best power bank, and this is the one that we've gone for. Now my next thing was I was looking for someone to install an inverter for me before I thought about buying this, and ideally it would be good if we had the inverter installed, so when we have the hookup, it comes through any of these sockets, and when we're not on the hookup, that this fed the sockets in the van. That's the ideal situation, and you can have it done. My best quote I got was £750 to fit an inverter and have that done, and I thought, well, this was £209. Really, do I want £500 just to have that little bit of luxury of it feeding all the extra plugs? Now I might have that done in the future, but for the moment my job is just to put this in. Let's just run it, see how we get on with the air fryer and those sorts of things before we go any further. So this video is literally just going to be attaching it to the battery and just running it off these 2 plugs here as we go away, and let's see how we get on with that. The problem I've got initially is getting the cables from the battery compartment to where this is going to live above the battery compartment, because the battery compartment is a solid lid and I don't want to cut into this in case we sell the van at any point, which we're not planning on selling the van, but if we did, then I would need that to be intact in case someone wants to put a normal battery. Obviously the normal lead acid battery has to be sealed in because it has some gases that might come off it. The lithium battery doesn't, so we don't have to worry about that. So I've made a false lid to go in, so you'll see me just measure that up and put it in. In fact, I can show you it in place now. So that's 22 inches or 56 centimeters if I take it up to the end of that white bit. At 14.5 inches or 37 centimeters. It nearly fits, but we've got these there's some sort of screw covers sticking out, so just need to indent a tiny bit. So I've got 2 notches cut. So that now fits nicely, so we should be able to take out the battery compartment. Fit that over the top. Then I can attach things onto there. So there's the lithium battery compartment, and you can see there's no way of getting the wires through without actually drilling through into this. So that comes out. There's the battery. I've just made this false floor to go in, so I can still put things on top and I'm going to take some holes out of there into the inverter. Now the inverter is planning put it the right way round. Planning to put the inverter like that for the moment. Now I have seen some where they've been mounted ideally there, and I might do that, because it's not, the thing is, I was worried about putting something into this, then it's shaking up and down on our journeys and ruining both the wood and the inverter dropping out. Having said that, now I've actually got it out of the box, it can rest on this, but that's a little bit flimsy. So I'm going to have a little think about how we mount it. But I think that's for another day. I have got another piece of wood that maybe we could... That's ideally the position it would go in, with the remote switch coming up onto the side and some plugs maybe on the back of this. For now, for our test purposes, for the next few months, I just want to run it flat on there and see how we get on with it before I start mounting it and drilling into any of my surfaces that I might regret. So what I've done now is I've put these cable protectors in, so when they come up from the battery compartment, they're not going to rub on the wood on holes and wear away, so they will protect the cable as they come through, and just makes a neat and tidy way of getting the cables on to the top there. Now the next thing I'm going to put in, and this is something I might change, is pickle's in the way, one of these. Now no, out of there, electrocute your nose. One of these circuit breakers. Now I've watched lots and lots of different YouTube videos of people installing inverters. Some people swear by these things, some people say you don't need them, there's a fuse within the inverter, and looking at the description, there's lots of protection within the inverter anyway. But I just thought, for peace of mind, this is a 200 amp, which seems to be about the right ampage to protect the 2000 watts. I mean, we're not going to get near the 2000 watts, I think. The most we're going to do is the air fryer, which is about 1500 watts. And then this morning I've watched a video which is saying that these can get hot, the ones off Amazon, which is actually where I got it, and it might be better with a proper sort of fuse. So I'm only going to ever use this when we're in the van, and it'll be switched off when it's not being in use. I am going to put this in now, but this is something which I think I might start replacing, even if I can get hold of one before the end of the video. But it's going to go in now. The idea is it's going to sit there at the top, and so the positive comes up into there and then into the inverter. It came with these cables, and I know you can double these up. I've gone for the larger, much thicker. These are 35mm, very strong cables. They're not expensive, so I'll put some of those, and I've got some short ones to go from here onto the back of the inverter. So that's my next job. So before I mess with the battery, I'm going to take the fuse out of the solar controller, so we haven't got any power coming from the solar panel. I've switched off the electric coming into the van, and I'm going to put the battery into hibernate, so there's not anything coming out of the top of the battery. I've just taken a picture so I can see the state of it at the moment. Battery's full, it's charging through the solar panel, and I'm just going to take the fuse out. I'm not sure if you can see, but the three lights have gone out now. We've just got one looking like it's showing a low battery because obviously it's not getting any information through. So I'm hoping that's right anyway. Now I'm going to put the battery into hibernate and I'll be able to tell that should be just a matter of pressing this button. Right, and that's now switched that off. Still going to be very careful with the terminals just in case anything's leaking through, but that should now be safe to do what I've got to do. But I think we're ready to test it. The problem I've got at the moment is I've got them coming out here. It's quite a tight turn because these are really thick cables to get that into position. Now the alternative is putting in the cables that came with this and doubling them up where they'd be more flexible, but I can't really bolt that down at the moment. As I say, I'm thinking of changing that, so I'm just going to use it as a test. Connected it, that's all connected, leaving the solar panel switched off for the moment. I'm going to try putting the battery on. Touch wood, that part still works, otherwise we're in trouble. So hooray for that part. The battery is back on. Okay. For a minute I was panicking because the lights weren't working, but we have got a separate control that switches everything off. Ooh. We have a green light. So this is our brilliant, I love this. This is a 500 watt kettle. Hasn't got any water in it at the moment. It's actually designed that you can put soup and all sorts of things. It has different temperatures on it. Now it's got no water in, but I'm just going to quickly set it on and it all seems to be working, so let's turn it off quickly. So that bit's fine. Right, I'm going to plug in the remote control. So I know some people have 3D printed a container to go on the back so it could be stuck. Not quite sure how I'm going to do that for the moment, but that is quite a long lead to be a remote. So it has a normal sort of telephone connection. Switch that on to the second position, and then as I switch this on, then the inverter's on. Okay, the fish finger test. Not actually sure what I'm doing. Let's just stick it on for as long as it takes. So currently, while it's doing my fish fingers, it's pulling about 1,500 watts. That is stone cold. Just going to check. That's cold as well. So there's no heat coming off any of those. There's a slight warmth to the thick cables, so I'm glad we've got the thickest ones there rather than the ones that came with. Yeah, it's just not cold, it's just slightly warm. This itself, the fans haven't come on and there's no heat there at all, because I was worrying about this getting hot and warping things. There's no heat there at all. So just a slight warmth on those cables. Now that 1497 watts had gone down to about 40 watts, and then I heard something click in this, so Obviously it must be the heating element that switches on and off. It sort of switched off and sort of cruised for a bit. Right, I've just heard something click, so I wonder if it will change again. There we go, down to 43 watts. So we're not pulling the 1,500 continually. So I'm very happy with how that's gone, and I feel it's safe. It doesn't look like it's going to be a fire risk. Nothing's getting hot. I've now just got to worry about how I sort of secure that in the upright position. I have just realised that I didn't fit these, which I presume need to go over the end where the connectors are just to protect them a bit more. So I will fit those tomorrow after I've had my fish finger sandwiches. Rachel says I can't cook. Looks alright to me. Main ingredients. Perfect.